committed to preserving the vast customs of a vibrant cultural heritage.
Hello, America. My name is Ramesh Bhutani, and we come to you from Washington, D.C.
And my name is Shilpa Alimchandani. Let's start off today talking about immigration,
yes,
Ramesh, because there has been a lot of trouble brewing in Arizona, as you might have heard this week. The new law that has been passed is very strict anti-immigration law in which if a local police or state police officer has any reason to suspect that someone's illegal, they would be allowed to question that person and ask that individual to produce their immigration documents. Now, this goes a step further, right, than federal law, which is, in some cases, if someone's arrested, then you can check their background, you can find out if they're here in the United States legally. Now we're talking about, in a state that is 30% Hispanic population, a law that would really put a lot of power into the hands of local law enforcement to question people, often based on how they look. There's a risk of racial profiling here.
By the way, have you seen the pictures of the porous border in Arizona?
It is porous.
The people keep on coming illegally, to the point that people are very scared. And it's an individual state. It has very individual conditions. And all of them thought this is the best solution for them. Why would not federal government allow them to say, yeah, okay, if this is the only way you can safeguard your state, so be it?
No, but that's the problem. Immigration is a national issue, and federal law trumps state law. So there's really, I'm sure the Obama administration is looking at this very closely, and there will be lawsuits against this.
They have threatened the lawsuit.
And it's natural.
But I still believe that individual states have different problems, and they need to formulate their own little solution.
No, I completely disagree. I think this is definitely an infringement on civil liberties. I know Senator McCain is complaining that the federal government hasn't done enough, and so now the state needs to sort of take matters into their own hands. But the whole issue of racial profiling here, I think, is a major one, and I don't think Arizona is going to get away with this.
Yes, I find it reprehensible, too. If I was stopped and asked that every time, yeah, I probably will be pretty angry. But in a state that has a problem, you've got to work with the state.
Well, you know that I disagree with you on this issue, but the fact is that it's bringing the whole issue of immigration to the national forefront. This is not just a conversation about Arizona anymore, so hopefully we'll get some real immigration reform.
Moving on, folks, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is contemplating filing a municipality bankruptcy under Chapter 9. Now, under Chapter 9, no one is going to liquidate nothing in Pennsylvania. It's just that there will be a forbearance for the creditors not to take the police cars away or anything of that sort. How did Harrisburg got in that trouble? Folks, it all goes to the housing bubble. Here's the explanation that I really loved, which is there was so much credit available, the 0% down and 3% interest and arms and this, that, and the other stuff. All of that money was coming from the municipalities, the cities, not only here in the United States of America, but all over the world. You know that the cities in France are going bankrupt because of they give the credit. They took over those derivatives that everybody talks about. Even the District of Columbia has $262 million of derivative, but CFO Gandhi is pretty happy with his derivatives. But there are so many cities and even states. Look at California, $34 billion of deficit. They were giving IOUs,
It's sad, isn't it, that, states and cities can't provide the basic services to their citizens that they need to, or that they're in this situation where they're filing for bankruptcy.
That's true. Colorado City decided they were going to half their budget. They're going to send the policemen home. They're going to send half of the public work employees home. Here's what is coming through. When you go to buy a ticket today, an airline ticket today, you mostly buy the ticket yourself. No one sells it to you. You do your check-in yourself. the government is now coming to you and saying, well, we don't have enough money, and why don't you look out for yourself? Why don't you have those neighborhood watch? Why don't you make sure that you put in a little community service and mow the lawn at the park, or paint some of the housing that's out there, or paint the schools? In other words, government is now coming to you and saying, take care of your own city, your own municipality. Interesting, isn't it?
It is, and I don't think that people are going to be too happy about that.
Whenever there's a crisis, everybody gets together, and everybody will get together and resolve this problem.
Have you ever heard of something called a lean startup? Well, years ago in Japan, when there was the lean manufacturing movement, a lot of people were paying close attention. And now, because there isn't all that venture capital to invest in technology companies like there was 10, 15 years ago, a lot of people are thinking smaller. Instead of having millions to start up a company, they have maybe $500,000. And so in that case, we're looking at a new business model where you're working with small teams, you're talking about rapid development, and really finding a niche market. This particular article in the New York Times is talking about how a lot of these small startups are not failing because of technology, but because they really didn't have the right market in mind for their product, and so it wasn't going to go anywhere. Now, with open source programming and all kinds of technology available, it's a little bit easier and less expensive to start a company, and that's what people are doing.
You know, one of the better markets right now is the applications. You know, you make an application for iPad or iPod or the others, other phones or Blackberries and the others. So those app store, that's really a fantastic small business opportunity.
Exactly, because there is a market for it, and it doesn't require a big staff or lots of money to get that started up. So there are companies like Grocket, an online education network, Kissmetrics, a website measurement business, and even Dropbox, an online file storage and sharing service. These are all small companies started with very little money. You know, Facebook started that way, and now look at how huge it is. So the goal here is to come up with the minimum viable product, a product that has the smallest set of features for a small group of users, and then you can increase the complexity with time, just like Facebook did.
I was reading Washingtonian magazine, and the article is Tales from the Boom and Bust of Real Estate in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you remember in the year 2003, 2004, when the house went up for sale, it was sold within 24 hours. Many times there were 8 or 9 or 10 bidders.